Okay. So I made a video meant to be the ultimate guide for Sands of Time. And in that video, I said I would explain all of these things, including every known room in the dungeon. But after VOD reviewing and finding all of the rooms in the dungeon, I found that the video had doubled in length. So instead, I made it this separate video. To everyone that came from the other video, hello and welcome. To anyone interested in that video, you are welcome to go watch it, whether it's to get a refresh of the rules or just to make sure you fully understand everything about Sands of Time. And to everyone else, you know why you're here. Let's get into it. Starting with intersections and pathways.
First off, we have the angled corner. That's right, the path can change direction, so look out for that one. Sometimes as you're going through the path, you'll find that the floor looks a little janky, don't mind it. Unless, of course, that janky floor has lava in it, in which case, do mind it. If you see this path that has these floor blocks on the side, there is going to be a tripwire that can trigger some monsters, or sometimes when you walk into the middle, it'll just cause them to fall out from the ceiling. Either way, there'll be mobs dropping on you. Or spawning. Also, it should be noted that many of these little intersecting pathways lead to side rooms. I'm going to talk about side rooms in a minute, but just look out for the cracked walls on the side. That means that there's going to be one of those side rooms. Next up is the soul sand path. It's got some cobwebs that are annoying to get stuck in, but if you can do the parkour right, or if you navigate around the cobwebs, okay, then you're fine. Next up, get your swim trunks on, because we're going into the water section. Here's just a normal pool of water. Target blocks love to be above these, so look out for that. You'll also find this variant where the pool is split in half. If you can't make the jump by making it to the side rooms, don't worry, you can just swim through this hole if you just dive down into the water. There is this quartz water path variant, but this one hasn't been seen since like MCC 21, so I'm not sure if it's still currently in rotation. Among the water paths, we have chain over water, but we also have chain over lava, and this leads us into the lava section. Just like the quartz path, these parkours haven't been seen since MCC 21. That's most likely due to the fact that they're just a little bit too difficult for the average player, but these are here and they could make a return at some point, who knows. Also seen earlier on in season 2 is this lava dip. It looks like you can just jump to the side room or jump across it, but be careful with this one. Next up, we got what I like to call Temple Run. There's a lot of coin blocks and a lot of vines, hence the name. If you're going to mine the blocks to get the coins, just be careful as there's usually lava right below here, so if you aren't in a position to like catch the coins correctly, they're gonna fall down. Also be careful not to stand on top of the blocks, or you will be the one falling and that's not gonna be fun. That'll do it for the lava section. Next up, we got our spiral staircases, but sometimes these also come as spiral slab cases, and quite commonly spiral block cases. The block cases should be taken note of because there are 3 levels. Sometimes you can come in from the top, the middle level, or even the bottom. The bottom level usually has water, so just make sure to check all 3 levels. Sometimes you can come across these side-by-side staircases. Sometimes there will be 2 paths, so each of the staircases leads to a path. Sometimes not. Following along with the stair vein, we have the up-down stairs. There's stairs on the sides, but there's also a stair that goes underneath. These ones can be especially difficult to mark. That's why I suggest fully exploring an area and then being able to fully mark it off at either like the point right here. Please me put an arrow there, yes, or you can mark it up here. Just be careful that you're consistent with marking these. Similar to the up-down stairs, we have the up-down stairs, but without the up and down. Instead of having stairs on the sides to where you can go to an upper level, it just leads up and there's no tunnel that goes down underneath. These ones are a lot simpler to mark, if you could tell. Next up, we got the double stairs going to a ladder. These ones are quite common, so make sure to look out for these. You just can go up either side, and they both lead to this ladder at the back where you can go up and down a path. The following 2 don't really fit in any particular category, so I'm putting them here. First is the ladder spawn room. Sometimes you won't come at these from the trapdoor at the top, but you can come at them from the bottom, which is why I put it in the intersection area. In case that was confusing, basically, sometimes you will find a trapdoor, go down it, and you'll find a room like this with a path. Sometimes you'll come down the path and find a ladder going up to the trapdoor. Second, we have the elevated spawners. There will be 1 on each side. You can get up on the trapdoors right here. It is really important to put torches on these because otherwise they'll spawn so many zombies or whatever mob is there. Also, just your friendly reminder that target blocks love to spawn above many of these intersections. Sometimes there will be 3 of them. Sometimes there will only be 1. Sometimes lamps will be there instead of target blocks, but either way, always make sure to look up. This has been Bliss Airlines. Now onto the final little section for the intersections and pathways. This would be the narrow pathways. Sometimes you can find them as little 4-ways like this that'll have little rooms off to the side of each of these. People can get really lost with these, especially when one of the little pathways leads to another 4 intersection. So again, my suggestion is to fully explore one little area. So if you find a spawner in one of the side rooms, mine it, and then place a carpet like this. Use carpet in this situation to block things off. rather than to show which path you're going down. Because if someone else is going down the path and you marked the path you should go with a carpet in this tiny narrow pathway, people might assume that you blocked it off and you already explored it, which can make it really confusing. In a narrow section like this, use a carpet to block it off and leave the correct pathway to go open. We've got 2 more of these tiny pathways. The next one, which is easier to navigate, is the wishbone. You've just got 2 different directions. I don't know if it's actually in the shape of a wishbone, I just named it that because I felt like it. Both of these can lead to more full-blown paths, but oftentimes one of them will just be a room. Once you're in here, you can see through the cage that the path continues on the other side. The final tiny path is one that a lot of people don't seem to know about because a lot of people miss it. It's this little narrow one in the wall. The best way to spot this is to look for the columns on the side, but honestly, I understand why people miss this. It's really hard to spot. In some MCCs, this has led to the vault though, so make sure that you look out for these and go down them. And finally, we have what I named the file, the better known as the Whack Ninja Warrior mess of a room. Jeez. This was seen in MCC Rising. I'm not sure if it's been in any other MCC, but oh my gosh, what is this? And yeah, I included it in the intersection area because there's a lot of different paths that go off of this. I refuse to spend my breath micro-analyzing this, so instead here are some arrows and little text bubbles describing what the different sections of this room are. In case this, for whatever reason, comes up again, you'll know how to tackle it. That'll be it for intersections and paths. Let's move on to the side rooms that you'll find in these intersections most of the time behind crumbled walls. First off, we have just a normal spawner room. It's just a room with a spawner in it. Sometimes there's sand in here, make sure to pick it up. These rooms can have different wall variations, for instance, columns instead of cracked walls. I think this screenshot is also showing that, or maybe it's because of the red tunnel markings at the top. I can't remember why I took the screenshot. Next, there's also a door option, just double doors, you open it, there's a spawner room. And there's another one similar to the column, except for it's just got like this open doorway, and then there's like some fence walls that kind of make like a caged window. Sometimes you'll come across this piston one. You just flick the lever and one of the sides allows you to go through. I believe it's the left one. Moving on from the walls of the room to what the rooms can actually contain, there is this waterfall one. There's just water, nothing else. There could sometimes be sand in here, I think. Next, we have this ladder side room. There's just some ladders that go up to this platform where there will be a spawner. Am I cutting that out? Nope. Next, we have one of my personal favorites, the watch your coins burn and cry about it room. Coins will sit on this crumbled wall ledge. You will destroy them to get the coins to fall down, but if you don't get it right, then your coins burn. Basically, shift on the edge, and if it's a stair, get on the bottom stair and shift on the edge. This will give you the best chance of being able to get the coins. Ninth on this list is the useless tomb. For some reason, this has tripped up a lot of people. They look around expecting something. There's nothing here. It's just meant to confuse you. This next one is most likely a glitch, but I've seen it in multiple MCCs as I was VOD reviewing, so I put it in here. Sometimes you'll find a crumbly wall that just has nothing behind it. This is most likely due to dungeon generation being weird and cutting off a pathway, so there should be a room here, but there isn't one. It's also possible it's entirely intentional. I have seen it multiple times though, so thought I would put it in here just so no one gets too confused if they find it. And last but not least, we have an iron bar variation of the rooms. They won't always be open like this. Sometimes there will be iron bars going along the bottom as well, but skeletons and silverfish tend to be the ones that like to spawn in these rooms. And they also like to be by lava, so be really careful that you don't get shot into the lava. That'll do it for all the side rooms. Now into the largest section, all the main rooms. Let's start off with some of the Ravager rooms. I'm gonna start off with the Ravager Lava Canyon. There's lava in here, but there's just some basic jumps. You get to the back of the room, there are some coins. As soon as you get to this platform, the cage starts to come up and the Ravagers will begin to chase you. It's not that difficult. You just grab the coins really quickly and run back, but it's still a Ravager room, therefore it's dangerous. Next is the Ravager Lava Pit. This one's a bit more dangerous because the Ravagers are in close quarters and are loose from the very beginning. I would suggest avoiding this one, but if you decide to tackle it, make sure to lure the Ravagers to one side of the room and then dash for the other side. That should give you the most amount of time to make it to the different side sections. There's like 2 different areas here and there's one in the back. They have some coins. I don't believe they hold sand, but it's basically impossible to do this without getting hit at least once or twice. Just make sure that's the maximum amount of times you get hit, otherwise you will die. The final Ravager room is just a Ravager pit. There is also a variation of this that I will talk about in a little bit with just normal mobs. Again, I would also just avoid this one. It's really not worth it. There's a couple coins down there, but you're gonna have to be really good at dodging and weaving to get past these guys. That's enough of these scary beasts. Let's move on to something that's equally as scary, lava parkour. parkour. First one I'm showing you here is the concrete lava parkour, or at least that's what I'm calling it. There's some concrete pillars and platforms, you jump between them. There's 3 different areas where you can get coins in this area, but that's the only thing you get from this is coins. I should have said this before even starting this section, but you should never have to cross lava in order to get a vault key or to get to a vault. This has been the case since MCC 21, so if you see lava and you're going for a vault, don't even worry about crossing it. The only exception to this is the red vault room, which does have a really simple parkour over lava to get to the vault, but you can see the vault right there, so like it's obvious you have to cross the lava to get there. And you know what? I'm breaking up my own video to talk about the vaults right here because it just fits well. Blue vault room. There will be some mobs that will become unstatuified when you enter the room. Gold vault also has this, but with skeletons and zombies rather than just zombies like in the blue room. Green room. There's a spider spawner sitting at the bottom. It's really easy, there's like nothing else in this room. And red, which has 2 blaze statues that once you cross the lava will come to life. Be careful of lava here and here. And the blazes, either get them to fire and then hurry and do the lava parkour, or wait for them to sink down into the lava where it's harder for them to shoot you. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's get back to some of the other rooms. Next for the lava parkours, we have the downwards piston lava parkour. You have to flick levers and walk on these pistons to get down to this tiny room that has some coins. It's honestly not really worth it. Don't do this. Strangely enough, this parkour seems to be right by the parkour for the gold key, particularly the chain parkour. Not sure why, but if you see this room, the gold key might be nearby. Let's follow this up with the 4-block lava jump. This is 4-block jumps, 3 platforms to get to the end. There do seem to be quite a bit of coins there, but 4-block jumps are pretty hard, so be careful with this. There is also a variation where there seems to be this thing. I don't know what this is. Is it a head hitter? A Neo? I can't tell. No one's really tried this. There's a reason why. It's lava parkour. There's also a lava parkour tree room. It's scary, don't do this. The fences and walls and the logs make it a bit more difficult to jump from platform to platform. Coming back does seem to be easier than going up, but still just don't do this, it's not smart. Another one of these lava rooms is the piston lever flick puzzle. There's basically a wall where you have to flick a bunch of different levers. If you get the right combination, all the pistons will come back from the wall. You'll be able to walk through and get some coins. Unless you're really good at puzzles, I wouldn't suggest this. This just takes up too much time. There is also this lava pit for some coins. It's dangerous, don't do it. And this spiky parkour room, which looks really intimidating, is safer compared to a lot of the other ones, but also just doesn't hold very many coins, and it's confusing, don't do it. Because instead, you can do these safer parkours. You like fence posts? Well, you can jump on these and get some coins on this platform. You like water? We also got this fountain room. This hasn't been seen in quite a few MCCs, so don't know if this is a thing anymore. You like support systems? Well, we got 4 pillars here, ladders in the middle. You climb up them, there's some coins and items at the top. You can jump around. I don't think there's any other use for this room. We got a piston parkour where you have to flick the levers underneath to get the pistons to go up, and then you are able to jump from little thing to get to the end, and there's some coins. This one's actually pretty easy as long as you know how to do it. That's why I'm making this video. And a pressure plate piston parkour where you stand at the pressure plates, the pistons go out, you have to hurry and jump on the extended pistons to get to the next platform, and then there's some coins at the end. Next up, we got caves, and unfortunately I'm gonna have to slow down because this one needs some explaining. There is an indoor cave. Sometimes you can come at this from many different directions. Sometimes you'll come at it and there'll be a crumbly wall. Destroy it to get into the cave. Or you can come at it where there is this iron bar blocking your way. Jump up to the right and destroy a wall to get in. Once inside the cave, there will be a spawner that you should light up at the bottom, but you'll need to look around and navigate a bit. For instance, there are some areas where you can destroy a crumbly wall and you'll be able to get up to that area where you had to jump up and to the right. That's how you get from inside the cave back out. On the other side of the elevated area where one of the entrances is, there is just a platform that will have some coins on it. Honestly, pause the video and take the time to study these. This room looks really intimidating, but once you kind of get an eye for it, it'll be easier to navigate under the stress of being in the dungeon. Last for caves, we have the outdoor cave, which is also pretty confusing. There are usually 3 different pathways you can go down. They curve a bit, so they can be hard to spot. Technically, there's 4 pathways if you include the pathway that you came from, but basically, this can branch out a lot. You can go down one of the sides and find yourself in another room with another 3 pathways, but I have seen plenty of MCCs where there have been vaults in these areas. So even though it's intimidating, even though there'll be spawners in the middle and lots of mobs spawning, I would run through, hurry and light everything up. If there's too many mobs, you're starting to die, Destroy as many of them as you can. By destroy, I mean kill. I don't know why I worded it that way. Make this area as safe as possible so that you can explore it, because it's very possible that there will be a vault back here. That'll do it for caves. On to dispenser rooms. We have a dispenser pit. It's a pit full of dispensers. Dispenser tower. You jump in here, get on the ladder, go up to the top, and flick levers as you come down. Mobs and coins will obviously come out of this. It can make it a little bit dangerous at the bottom, especially if there's creepers. I personally don't feel like the time usage is equal to the amount of coins that you'll get out of this, but I mean, if you're really pressed for coins, then you can do this. Otherwise, I would just skip it. We have a hall of mini flicky levers. If these were buttons, this would be Grian's playground, as well as a wall of them. This is similar to the tower, except it's horizontal, and as you flick the levers, they'll still drop down into the water down below. I'd suggest flicking these super quick, going down, swimming, and getting all the coins and coming back out. This one actually is worth the time, I do believe. I worded that so strangely, but we're going to move right on from that and go to the pit rooms. And unfortunately, you cannot play the card game in here. Instead, there will be a variant with some creepers. This room will have 3 different pathways going off of it, including 4 if you include the staircase that you come from. Be especially careful to mark these off, because it can be confusing to remember which pathway you went down and which one you didn't. But do make sure to explore all of these. Also, so many people were missing snow and sand in this room. I get that the room's bigger, so you have to actually go over to the walls where the sand will be, but please make sure to check for the sand. The other pit room is the one that I mentioned earlier. It's the Ravager one, but with mob spawners instead. You can jump down here and put torches on the spawners and run around and get the coins, but if you've been standing around for a while and the mobs have started to spawn in abundance down there, don't do it. It's either you enter the room, see it, and jump down immediately so very little mobs spawn, or just don't do this. Next up on Dragon Ball Z, we got the caged rooms. These include things like this circle of prison cells is what I'm gonna call this. There are levers on the center pillar that you can flick to open up some of the cells. Problem is that the levers don't line up to the cells. Some of these have coins in them, others have creepers or even ravagers. And since these rooms love to be right before a vault, I would suggest not flicking the levers. Better to have a clear path than a dangerous one. Another one of these lever rooms has creeper statues. As soon as you flick the lever, the creepers will come alive and you can go into the cell to get a few items and coins. This one isn't too difficult to deal with. Just flick the lever, hurry and get into the cage, and I would suggest throwing back one of the creepers towards the other ones to have them explode and kill all of the creepers at once. Hopefully I made that clear, because we're going to move on to the final lever room, the one with pillagers and blazes. For this one, you'll find a lever in the middle of a hallway, flick it, and the cage will open, and there will be 2 spawners in here. One of them will be for pillagers, one of them will be for blazes. At least that's what I've usually seen in these rooms. Be careful, because if the spawners are active for too long, there will be a lot of mobs in there. So similar to the pit or most other rooms with spawners, make sure to take care of these quickly before the mobs can build up. Once again, there are some items and coins in here. And now onto all the rooms that I didn't bother to categorize. There's this big log one. There's a giant log sitting in the middle of the room. If you want to get on the log and be able to destroy the crumbly wall blocks that are in the ceiling, then make sure to go to the side with stairs and get up on the log, and then you'll be able to destroy these. There are coins above these crumbly blocks, but also mobs, so just be careful. These next 2 are technically intersections, but they're so big and often have spawners in them that I decided to put them in the room section. First, we have the mine shaft room. It reminds me of those really weird, like, block rooms that you would find in mine shafts. I don't know if anyone remembers these. They're really weird. This is like a giant one of those. Usually there's only 2 paths going off of this, the one you came from and then another path. The next intersection is the giant plus. There will be 4 platforms. 2 of these, usually 2 of these, will have spawners on them. You can also find sand in here. There are a total of 4 paths coming from this room, including the one that you came from. Also, when I say paths, I mean options for where paths can be. Sometimes one of these will just be entirely blocked off, depending on the generation of the dungeon. The next room is the blaze platform room, which consists of a giant platform surrounded by lava in the middle that has a bunch of cobwebs and blazes on it. Now, there will be coins and items, but it's rather dangerous because the blazes could shoot you into the lava. I wouldn't suggest using your arrows to kill the blazes. You could either get all the blazes to shoot you, then hurry and go in for the coins and get out, but it's risky and I wouldn't suggest it. Besides that, other things to note in this room are the fact that there are a total of 4 possible pathways off of it, including the one that you come from. If you go up the stairs, there's one on each side of the room, so on each one of the walls. People often miss sand in this room, so please look out for that. Next up is the creeper platform room, which is a lava parkour, but the room is so big and just about no one has attempted this except for one person. I did find one person that has attempted it, so I decided to put it here. Pizza Hut did this, and the room actually seems fairly easy when he does it, but maybe that's just because he's good at the game. Basically, as you jump from platform to platform, the creeper statues will come to life, so you should probably punch those off or just run past them to get to the end where there will be some coins. It doesn't seem like this will continue to have another path. I think the platform at the end is just the end. The reason I say shoot the creepers here, unlike the last room where I said don't shoot the blazes, is because if you make it to the end, you have to be able to get back, so you should shoot the creepers off the platforms in order to get by. With the blaze room, I just don't think you should attempt it to begin with, and wasting your arrows trying to kill the blazes will spend a lot more arrows, and then you won't be able to use those on target blocks. With the creepers, the goal is to one-shot them off the edge. Blazes can fly, and they are annoying. The next room is the door debate, and this one is a fun one. Basically, there's a bunch of doors. There are doors hidden behind doors, and many pathways that will eventually lead to a small room where you can get like a piece of armor and some coins. But overall, this is meant to take up your time. As best you can, try to keep track of where you're going, keep track of which doors you've flicked and which ones you haven't, or just RNG it and try to blast your way through. The following room hasn't been seen in MCC in quite some time, but I am calling it the gold zombie room because of the gold blocks on the top and then the fact that there's a bunch of zombie statues. Yeah, it makes sense. Like most statue rooms, when you walk in the room, there will be a bunch of zombies that come to life. The best method I've seen to deal with this is just to lead them into the water, because they can't do anything down there. They're kind of stupid. And then you are welcome to jump from platform to platform and get the sand and coins without worrying about a horde of zombies following you and wanting to eat your brains. Another statue room is the Hall of Creepers. The best way to deal with this is to just run straight up the stairs. As you do this, the creepers will come to life, but you'll get past all of them before they explode. Get to the top and get the sand or coins, and then hit one of the creepers down to explode all the rest. This hallway doesn't usually lead to anything else. It's just the room at the top, and then that's the end. The next two rooms are ones that really trip a lot of people up, so I'm gonna take time to explain them. The first one is a long ladder room. There's this long room that has some stairs that go up to this kind of second semi-level where there will be some spawners. Torch those, destroy them. Then there are ladders that lead up to a second level. On the second level, there can be up to 2 different pathways coming from this. Parkour along the narrow sides of the room to get to these pathways. Now keep in mind, sometimes there will only be 1 pathway up here, but there can be 2, and that seems to trip a lot of people up. This is why I say, just look up. If you look around, you'll be able to find pathways where you might not have thought there would be some. The only other pathway in this room will be on the main floor and will go straight through the room to the other side. Again, sometimes not even that pathway exists, but just know that there are 3 possible pathways that can come off of this room. The second room that a lot of people have trouble with is the water room with chandeliers. It's similar to the ladder room where there are 2 levels, and the upper level can have pathways coming off of it. The bottom level has some spawners. You'll need to torch those and destroy them. Move across the water to this little staircase to get to the upper section. Here you can parkour around on the chandeliers, and there will be another spawner in this area. And then usually there's only 1 pathway coming off the top here, but there could be 2. I haven't seen an example of that though. There's also this area down here, which I never saw a pathway coming out of it until this one MCC from Smallish Beans. It always looked like there could be a path here, and there wasn't one until then. So really just look around for pathways and try to mark things as best you can. It's possible that even some of the rooms I've covered today could in the future have pathways coming out of them. It's a labyrinth. I don't know the rules of a labyrinth. It does what it wants. It's meant to be confusing, but you can be better by not letting it confuse you. Why on earth did I make that so weirdly motivational? I don't know, on to the next room. We got a mob maze. It's like, there's just statues, you go through it, the mobs come to life. It's pretty typical. There is lava in this room, and some of the statues are skeletons, so do be careful. I assume there were coins at the end of this, but in all the VODs that I reviewed, I didn't see anyone attempt this. Next up, we got the 9 square. No, it's not 4 square, it's 9 square. It's a fantastic little game if you've never played it. But basically, this is a 3x3 grid of rooms. I've seen 2 variations, one where there's just holes in the wall and you jump through until you find that one of the rooms has a path going off of it, and another one that has crumbly walls instead. So basically, you'll just have to destroy the walls to get through them instead of being able to just walk through. I know, it's terrible. I'm really questioning my naming scheme for some of these, but the next one is the iron bar skeleton room. Basically, there's iron bars that you can walk across, but be careful because there's these little alcoves on the side and they have skeletons in them. I didn't see anyone attempt this in my VOD reviewing, but ain't no way there aren't skeletons there. My years of playing maps from minecraftmaps.com is just telling me there's skeletons there, because why wouldn't there be? If for some reason you want to attempt this, you'll most likely have to go really fast. And I also assume it's going to be harder coming back than it is going in because the skeletons will now be locked onto you. So I suggest not attempting this. It's most likely not worth it. Next, we have the spawner spiral. The bottom will basically look like this, and as you go up the ladders, each level will have a spawner that you'll have to deactivate, and then you can go up to the next one after you destroy all the mobs. Kill the mobs. I don't know why I keep saying destroy. There are 3 levels to this, and the top level has a decent amount of coins, but the problem is that as you're doing this, you're in range of all the spawners, so the higher you go up, the more mobs there are going to be. With most of these spawner rooms, I just suggest commit or don't commit. I've seen so many people start to go up the spiral or into these other rooms and then just give up and be like, oh no, and then back out, and that's honestly more wasted time. Either kill the mobs, keep going, and get through the entire thing to get the coins at the end, or just decide from the beginning not to do it. And you know how you can make that decision? Because you've now been informed about the room, so when you come across them, you won't have to figure out what the room is and then decide whether or not you want to do it. You can just make that decision now. Subscribe for more fabulous content.
I'm pretty sure every time a YouTuber is cringy and says that, an angel gets extremely offended and doesn't get its wings. But as a wise man once said, thinking is dangerous, so let's move on to the TNT room. Please excuse my stuffy nose as I do this. I'm currently sick as I am re-recording some of this. But the only person that I saw do the TNT room was George Not Found, and he almost had the right technique. As you go into the room, the floor will give way and you'll fall down below. There is this little doorway that goes into a section with a ladder where you can climb back up. Going back, there is a tripwire that will trigger the TNT. What George did was trigger it and then hide behind a pillar so you wouldn't take as much damage. But the better play here would be to trigger it and fall down and then run back into the room with the ladder and hide behind it, therefore mitigating even more damage. I vaguely remember Pizza Hut doing this at some point, but I can't be bothered to go and find the clip.
As for most of these rooms, there's coins at the end if you do this. We're down to our last 2 rooms. First, we got the dead end giant wishbone. Again, I don't know if this is actually a wishbone shape, and I refuse to look up a wishbone until I'm actually editing this. But basically, there's 2 little alcoves here, though there could sometimes be sand in these. But I have yet to see where one of these will be an actual path. It's just kind of a dead end. And the last one, which hasn't been seen in quite a few MCCs, is the white fossil room. There's these 4 white pathways, and when you look down them, there'll either be like one stack of coins or just nothing. I'm not really sure what the point of this room is. If this ever makes a reappearance, it might be that some of these will be paths that lead to other sections, but for now, it looks interesting. And there you have it. Every single known room in Sands of Time. At least, I think.
In the other video, I mentioned that I did a lot of VOD reviewing, and that's true. I watched every single time Sands of Time was played and watched enough perspectives to map out every single game. But I didn't review all perspectives, so it's possible that there are some rooms I missed.
Or even some rooms that exist, but no one has ever found in the game. So if you think I missed any, and you happen to know an MCC where that room is seen, then please put it under my pinned comment down below. Please use the pinned comment for just that purpose. You can put other comments elsewhere, and check the replies to see if the room you're thinking of has already been mentioned. That way we don't clutter up the replies too much. The goal for this video is to be the ultimate resource for Sands of Time, and by replying in that comment section, you'll help this to be as up to date as possible. I did my best to make this video as concise and informative as possible while also having a little bit of fun with it, and I hope that I found a good balance between the 2.
If you think I did, or you found this video useful, then please consider giving the video a like. Yes, I know I usually say this at the end of every video, but it's because it really does help me know if you like this type of content. And it also helps boost the video in the algorithm so the people that need to see this or want to see it can. But that will be all from me today. I'm gonna go drink some water and take some vitamin C so I can get over this cold. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you next time.